Welcome to Faith and Sustainability, a podcast where we look deeper into how our faith traditions inspire us to care for our common home. I'm Leonard Robinson, your host.
And I'm Kat Doyle, your co-host. This podcast is made possible from the generous support of Rutherford Seidel, Jamie Lanier, the Varlamov Family Foundation, Georgia Interfaith Power and Light, St. Francis Services, and Semco Atlanta.
Okay, well, today, Kat, we have a very special guest. We've got the one and only career engineer, Francina Harrison.
Welcome, Francina. Good to have you here with us today. Where are you coming to us from?
Bringing you greetings from the beautiful city of Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Yes. And then not only is she the chief cook and bottle washer at the Career Engineer, but she also hosts a podcast called Building Faith, which kind of runs parallel to what we're trying to accomplish here. But Francina, tell us a little bit about what TCE, the Career Engineer, does.
All right. Well, sure. Well, again, thank y'all for having me. But the Career Engineer, what we are, we're a career and a business consulting firm. And our motto is don't get anxious, get prepared. And anyone who truly knows me knows that's straight from the book of Philippians. Be anxious for nothing. So we help career seekers, job changers, career changers, and new budding entrepreneurs to learn who they are, whose they are, what they want, how to go get it, and get the courage, confidence, and the faith, and the inspiration, and the motivation to make Monday mornings awesome. And that's, in short, what we do.
So you're talking about careers, you're talking about being prepared. Does this include all those green jobs and that
Yes.
green industry that's out there?
Absolutely. I mean, I think 10 or 15 years ago, that industry was really just starting, was a new thing, and it has had such an innovation and a transformation. But absolutely, the green industry, environmental, energy jobs, conservation, renewable, solar, wind, energy management, those types of things are still here and growing. And with climate change and all these other conversations, they're bringing opportunities for folks to help us to stay sustainable in the environmental and the energy space. So yes, lots of jobs out there for that.
People know you universally as a career engineer, but something that you're proud of and you love to talk about, and we've had hours of conversation. Let's talk about your faith. How does your faith lead you to do what you do?
You know what? Again, that don't get anxious, get prepared. Philippians 4:6-8 helped us. I mean, from the time my husband and I were together, and we do the Building Faith Live, which, buildingfaithlive.com. It was a place for he and I to come together. He's an energy guy in the daytime. I'm the career engineer in the daytime, but we can talk about our faith. And for whatever reason, the Almighty has allowed us to have a lifestyle and a ministry of faith, from disease to, we've had all the C's: cardiology, cancer, pulmonary stuff, living in active duty military family during wars and rumors of wars, and we're still here. So instead of keeping all those tests and testimonies quiet, we decided to use wonderful technology, which is a green thing, by the way, to share the message that no matter what the situation is, we should always be about building faith every day.
So you have a story, a faith story.
Absolutely.
I understand you might have been through a few things in your faith story. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my daughter was born in 2000 with a very rare heart disease. She has congenital heart disease, but her heart was more malformed than anything that some of these specialist pediatric hospitals have ever seen. So that really began to get us really praying, not necessarily having my pastor pray for me, but us learning about faith and trusting God and standing on the word. She's 24 now, will be graduating with a master's in public health. So there's 24 years of faith. In 2016, I was surprisingly diagnosed, a woman who never smokes, went and got my mammograms with stage 2 breast cancer, which was upgrade to stage 3 breast cancer. And I'm still here. I'm 8 years old according to that chart. So we're here. And my husband, who's very fit and active because he farms all the time. He's an energy guy, but he loves farming. And this is where some of the other stuff that we do come in. He jogs, he lifts weight, he eats vegetables, and he had 2 lung collapses while he was jogging 5 miles. And he's here with us today. So we've had some instances of just, you have to step out on faith, believe God, believe the word, apply it to your life. And that keeps us sustained, joyful, hopeful, love, and peace.
And it sounds like maybe pointed you in a specific direction. Tell us a little bit about the farming.
Yeah, you can learn a whole lot about faith through farming. That my husband has always said that when he's digging in the weeds and sifting and good seed, bad soil, good soil, kind of sort of seed, harvest, all of that is our faith walk. If we really, really think about it, you can plant a lot of seeds, some make it, some don't, but you got to water, you got to do weeds. So he grew up in a farm as a young man. He grew up on 150 acres. He's one of 18. Okay. So he marries a woman with only 2 siblings. All right. So, but the farming, I used to laugh about, oh, Tony, no one's going to want to farm. Guess what? With the whole green world and industry and sustainability and what are you eating? Do you know what you're eating? Guess what? When you grow it yourself from your own labor and your own seed, you know what you're eating. So I've actually gotten into it. I actually picked the Oprah once and I was pretty proud of myself. And that's all I ever did, though. But the farming, Building Faith Farms is like kind of when we did the Building Faith podcast, it was a place where we can merge. And every time we're working in that dirt, we're thinking about just how good God is and that our lives are pretty much a farm if we think about it.
When did you arrive at that intersection of faith and sustainability? Because sometimes we tend to treat one and the other, but not together. When did you get to the intersection?
You know, a couple of years ago when we did like a fast for 5 years in a row. And on the 5th year, we had this aha moment about life, career, business, your job, and faith, right? And how they're not exclusive. You need faith to keep a career, an abundant life, your business. That's the center of it. That's the center of gravity. So we were always all according, but we recognized maybe there's a way we can share our faith and that in real applications, faith can help with prosperity. Faith can help your inner joy and to keep you going. Not what's happening in the world, but the faith and relationship between you and God. So after that 5th year of doing a fast together, we kind of like, we could have been doing this for 30 years ago, but all in perfect timing. So that's where it intersected and that's where it's growing.
Can you give us any specific experiences in your professional or personal life where the faith and the sustainability and the career engineering and everything came up, for our listeners?
Yeah, wow, there are so many, but I'm going to be kind of really practical. But the fact that I'm here and talking with folks, I wasn't we do a lot of television and we do radio, and the Career Engineer is actually a national brand, and we're a small business with a national kick, and all of that would never have happened had it not been for faith. In fact, one of the first books I wrote was called A Mind to Work, right straight from the book of Nehemiah, right? The mind to work. So even my faith and my prayer life I was always taking notes on how to help people keep a job, maintain a job, have meaningful work. But it was really coming from biblical principles, my life, my experiment of life, and my prayer life. And all those came together. And even when I'm working with my clients, of course, I pray for everyone. I do that when I'm working with my clients. But it just made sense that the career engineer and how we empower and motivate, it is rooted in faith. And if some folks don't like the word faith, you can call it inspiration, motivation if you like. That's fine.
Oh,
but
we like faith.
We like faith.
We're good with faith.
Yeah. But the bottom, to keep getting a job is one thing, keeping it is another. And you got to have faith for that. And it builds daily. It's just, it's just like a house, right? We have a roof, we have ceiling, we have floors, we have windows. That's us. And our faith has got to be part of us building our own house. So we got to think of it that the roof has a job, the windows have a job, but it's all about faith. So maybe it took me as a human a long time to recognize the intersection, but this is where we are now. So every time I open my mouth and talk, I'm like, faith brought me here.
So let's talk about work, because we do know that our faith tells us that there is much that we can get out of work. But there's also the idea of green work and green jobs. So tell us a little bit about how you help people prepare for green jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I shared, I think earlier before we talked, but to me, all jobs are green jobs, so they do give you green money. However, there are certain industries, right, that are definitely, again, renewables, the energy side of the house and the environmental side of the house. You have paraprofessional jobs where you may need just a certification, maybe 2 years of training or 5 years. There are other jobs that require a degree, energy engineers or environmental engineers. You've got to be an engineer, but there are a lot of paraprofessional jobs there where folks can also be contributing to that landscape. So there are certifications out there. One I was often loved is a certified energy manager. Those are like one of my favorite those guys are making. When the energy world first came out, they were rare, and now they're doing some incredible work on all sides. And you can get that certification from accredited places there. But I want people to also think, like, if you're a bookkeeper right now, how can your job be green? simple. Think about using high tech, high touch skill sets. And if you're struggling in those, get on top of that, because we call those green, because high touch is knowing how to collaborate, communicate, integrate, right, with people, not just apps, but people, talking to people, those soft skills they used to call them. We call them essential skills now, how to communicate, how to persuade, how to do things. And then the high tech is green, is you have got to stay on top of whatever the latest tech is in your industry. Because if you don't, you will be ungreen in the sense of having no money, right? Or no job. So the high tech, high touch approach would be one element that I want anyone, whether you're a ditch digger or a scientist, to high tech, high touch, master those skills, and that can keep you in demand, sustainable and maintainable, and be in meaningful work. So that would be the one tip I would say for any other job, that can, how they can green up their resume with those kind of skills.
These are amazing things that you're talking to us about. We do live in a state here in Georgia where we have a lot of engineering hub around our university system and all that, but we also have a rural area. Are there specific rural jobs or rural green work that you help with?
Well, I'm not, well, let me think. That's a good question. Rural, the point, the reason I have, y'all can't see my face, but I'm making a little one, because the point is, like, there's broadband things are happening in rural communities, but there's going to be installers and people that have to do that work. In my area, in fact, we just got the whole wind building the wind turbines, right? That's a big deal. Well, Hampton Roads got some contract, so we're going to be building them here, but we need folks, and we have folks who are driving from rural areas to come, let's say, to the cities to help with those jobs, whether it's part of the construction, the maintaining. So what I'm saying is that when there are solar farms out there, some in these places where the sun is perfect, and some of these cities may be not in the metropolitan area, those kind of opportunities yield, again, the paraprofessional, the folks who are doing hands-on, the folks who might be doing customer care. So whenever you see these things out in the rural areas, it also just means that those are some, again, jobs, whether entry-level jobs or first, hands-on jobs that are available. So, and those, and wind farms, and well, solar farms particularly, but again, we have in fact, our energy company did a really big 12 miles out, this huge wind thing. I mean, you think I would know the name, right? The wind thing, but folks will be living there. There's transportation boats. They're going to have folks in the boat to go there, live there. So the chefs that are cooking for those folks, right? The security that's maintaining the security for that wind thing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, right? And there'll be 12 of them soon. Those are jobs as well that are created to sustain that particular industry. So when I tell you it's growing, folks just got to get their foot in and really figure out where they want to contribute. But there's a lot of opportunity, because these things they're not going back. We're going to be dealing with wind and different ways of energy, which is going to have more job growth.
I want to pretend like I'm a customer of yours and you're my counselor. Okay, I have a job that I like, but are there green side hustles that I could possibly do?
There's always a side hustle in America, right? And there, and I mean, there's the recycling side of the house. There's, in fact, the farmers market, right? Vending. Tony and I, we make stuff from the farm, and we got into mason jars, put a label, selling it, so these things, it was a hobby, but it seems to be in demand. So some folks are being makers. We call some of that makers. You're making things with your own hand from your own product, and there's opportunity to sell that. With the repurposing, a big word for me, and you can repurpose all kinds of things. So whether you do this entrepreneurially, your own gig, or you're with an organization that is repurposing furniture or things that people use often. I mean, the whole thrifting thing. I mean, there's someone who goes into a thrift store now, and she is doing a thing where you think you're shopping from Versace by the time she's done with you, but she's repurposing clothing, but has an eye for it because she's fashionista, and it's making a living, making money for her. So there are all kinds of ways of that. Of course, I love tech. So online, all the online anything. Whatever it is, online coaching, online tutoring.
How about a podcast?
That's a great idea.
Podcast, right? All that online energy, right? Because you're using digital energy, which is very green. You have a skill set, you have an idea, you have some wisdom experiences. You're talking about it, and you're finding ways to monetize that. So tutoring, I mean, the STEM and the STEAM, right? We need tutors and all of that. So there's lots of opportunity, and there's tons of gig economy providers that you can either connect with them or do your own thing because you have Square and Cash App and all the other things to help you get paid.
Okay, so you have pretty much got us thinking that we need to think outside the box. What are you saying to our youth, to the kids out there as they're just getting started in this search for what am I going to do when I grow up? What am I going to be?
Yeah. When I was 12 or 11, I was doing newspaper routes and snow. I was from Connecticut, so I was getting rid of the snow off of someone's driveways. Young people today with a Fiverr account and these skills they have, like helping OG folks work their iPhones or their Android phones, charge $20 an hour for that, Cash App, here we go. So there's all the skills and things they know how to do. I mean, it's just amazing. This generation was born knowing the iPhone is the thing, right? So you can make your own way, but tutoring. I mean, my daughter, who was a pre-med major and has this brain for chemistry, she's working at a certain employer. I'm like, that's great, but you can get $30 an hour tutoring someone in this high functioning math that you seem to like. And she said, and she started doing it. So I'm telling you, the young people, the things they know how to do, Instagram reels and stories and all of that stuff. People will pay you for that. Producing podcasts, people will pay you for that. If you have graphic arts, you know how to make these, the graphics that we use for just about everything now, people will pay you for that. So young people, you don't have to shovel snow or mow lawns, even though that is a good job. Don't get it wrong. That's a great job. But use your brain versus your brawn with your Cash App.
I don't know. The shoveling snow, that's pretty eco-friendly there. So
it was, yeah.
What do you have for OGs like me? What about a seasoned? Is it too late for us?
Never too late. Never too late. And I believe, like I said, when folks are ready to retire, keeping it green here, no, the word's not retire, it's what's next. You now can decide where you want to contribute your gifts, your talents, your expertise, your wisdom, your knowledge, and the pitfalls to avoid. So you automatically now are a consultant for someone somewhere. So again, you can use the same tools I share with the young folks, in the gig economy or set yourself up. But yeah, now you have a choice of where to contribute because there is no retired. It's what's next.
I love it.
I love that. Okay, well, good things must come to an end, but however, how can people get a hold of the Career Engineer? How do we reach out to you?
Sure. Well, for me, the Career Engineer, our website is tcenow.com. Again, that's tcenow.com. And I am Francina Harrison, the Career Engineer. I am Googleable. But for Building Faith, come check us out at buildingfaithlive.com, buildingfaithlive.com, where, again, for saints, ain'ts, and those in between, as we help people to build their faith no matter what. And we do the podcast live, actually, on Sundays at 7 p.m. So buildingfaithlive.com.
We're not to that part yet. We are not live, maybe someday. But I'd like to think, Leonard, that you and I are Googleable.
Yes.
That's what a great word. We're Googleable.
Googleable.
So, that's a green word. Be Googleable so folks can find you.
We want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us today and really encourage all of us to think outside the box, to really look at how we can take what we might consider careers and work that's not green and make it green. So thank you for all of that. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, Francina, thank you so much for coming on the show. And everybody out there, stay connected with us on social media and share your journey with the hashtag faith and sustainability.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. Just a little teaser for you. We have come to the end of this second mini season. We're going to be starting our third season in January. And a little teaser, there might be a gentleman by the name of Bishop Joel joining us to kick off our third season that first week of January. In the meantime, we look forward to meeting you next season
at the intersection of faith and sustainability.
The preceding podcast is a production of the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Atlanta. Copyright 2024.